look around this room of Oxford undergraduates, 40% of you were privately educated in a country in which 7% of students have private educations. 80% of you come from meaningful social and economic privilege. As we heard a moment ago, at my university, Yale, there are more students from the top 1% of the income distribution than from the entire bottom half. Now, my university's admissions process is corrupt, and failures of meritocracy might explain it. But Oxford's is not corrupt. You can't buy a place here. There is no meaningful legacy preference. And yet, nevertheless, you're all rich, and you all come from privileged backgrounds, or almost all. Now, why is that? The reason is straightforward. Famous U.S. baseball player once said, "Practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect." Meritocracy, in fact, is not, as we just heard, that advantage turns on effort and talent. It turns on effort and talent, and one more thing, investment. It turns on how much is invested in developing a child's talent using their own efforts. And the investment that different kinds of children get in meritocratic societies is absolutely enormously different. In the United States, the richest private schools spend over $75,000 per pupil per year on educating their children, in a society in which public schools on average spend about $12,000. In this country, the richest private schools spend over £30,000 a year educating their children. These massive investments produce massive differences in childhood achievement. Not because of legacy admissions, but because when you get trained, you get good at things. And the result, therefore, is that a meritocracy, when it works as designed, favors those whose parents are in a position best to invest in them, who have the money, who have the skills, and who have the free energy and space to do so. And believe me, meritocrats give rich parents the ability to do so. I'll get it in 1 second. When Michael Young invented the term meritocracy, the richest in England had only half the share of national income that they have today. The richest 10% of earners made twice as much as the poorest 10% of earners. Today, they make 4 times as much. A graduate of this university will make 50% more in her first year out than a graduate of the University of York. So meritocracy creates an inequality in which rich parents have the opportunity to spend all this money on their children, which is why meritocratic children are also rich children. That's the first point. Meritocracy excludes most of society from meaningful advantage.
Meritocracy is a myth. First and foremost, we all begin life at unequal starting points. Not everyone begins on the same footing. Wealth, family background, access to quality education, and social networks heavily influence outcomes. For example, children born in low-income households face significantly higher barriers to higher education and high-paying careers. And don't get me started on the inherited advantages. Studies show that intergenerational wealth transfers plays a bigger role in life outcomes than raw talent alone. In the U.S. alone, the top 10% often passes on financial and social capital that gives their children a massive head start. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that bias and discrimination still play heavy factors in this meritocracy. Race, gender, and other systemic factors continue to shape opportunities. To this day, we know that qualified candidates are often overlooked due to implicit bias or institutional barriers. And last but not least, meritocratic systems often reinforce themselves. Education, career advancement, and social prestige are often structured so that those already privileged gain more opportunities. And this creates a feedback loop that looks like meritocracy, but is heavily skewed towards those who are already advantaged. Now, for anyone who's truly interested in making the society more meritocratic, I would encourage you to push for equal access to quality education, specifically for those in early childhood programs, merit-based hiring and promotions, and in 2025, We can use technology and transparency by creating algorithms and using AI and data-driven methods to reduce biases in hiring, college admissions, and grant allocations, but with oversight to prevent new biases from emerging. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. We need people who really care about these issues to make their voices known, keep pushing the line, and bringing these issues to the attention of the powers that be. For he who has an ear to hear, let him hear.